eye abem enti no de yen yakra no yen yese beba amansan dwa so abeton no eboa ye fili se ewo se ye ton no eno beboa ama dodo na ebeton no saa no woni be free amansan edwa so ama wona timi ayeden ate so ama ye nyina ye ho ahan no se ebro no ne emo no bo no timi ba fom a na akoka eni nnuane na mabobo din na ni nyina bo aba fom a yigiri se ebekoso aba fom a kopem June 2025 na sani ebe ya akuntabuo ochina media for ana Ghana for bebisa me say sika na yedima wo no fertilizer na yedima wo no emo na yedima wo no de fa hene e wo se mitimi bu sa akunta no nti bibia ye beye bia no dise ye yusu abefo afidie ene yede ye eye digitalization nti wafuo no dise uko register ye register o kofi menu asase wei me na media na ya faudin no Ghana card ni bibia wo system num na ye di mfidie akọ na yakwakọ mape wankasa nkasa wafuo no na ewo ho na agric extension officer na beka se ampa kofi menu afuo nie enye park so ene wakwakọ ye enye asore dan bi achi ene wakwakọ twa se ye afuo na mum eye afuo ampa na eno ene bema wanya eniema ya ye achi ebi enye card fufuro bi ena ye de che na ye Ghana card no ne se wa register wafuo no ena ye de eche enti no we no politics bia enim kona ko register wafuo no na Ghana ban nhihye ya ode bre okuani no wonsa nye den enka bi na ye register gap no besine no nipa be 800,000 ena bosomi 90 wanna register omafu wo gap no so Ghana kuafo na ti say e be 2.5 million wanna wonu ye so ya no pa eye kua as omankasa mo be 2.5 million ye ti register mu be 800,000 so far nti ebi aka kire a e wo se ye register mo omo maka kire no so no ebi na to renchem ato omo ebi so na ye pese ye di fertilizer mom wo southern sector no mo so omo di ye omo mfuo no enti no eye agric extension officers wo Ghana ha ni na mo ye be 2,700 ya from ya ma omuni na tablet ya ma obia Samsung A9 tablet kama ya to ba ku be 4,000 ya chama omuni na ya the gap application no eguso wonu nam Ghana ha ni na register ekuafo ya science so at the district extension officers ya mom tablet CB almost na mu a wono register ekuafo gisa wo register ansana yetimi amom ni ahya om se da bia no obia mom ne homodi so be register be nipa du mienu 12 ne ye ne sana enu be abusumi mienu no na Ghana ekuafo na ya register omuni na se ne be ya aband bibi ba obia ensa ebeka bi enti no se wunye extension officer na wo wafuo na watwen ya na obi ama ukọ Google Play Store GHAAP farmer app na wo ho wa obetimi download na wakọ register wo ho na wa register wo farm ye di mpanimfo akukudam so asi ho a ye hwese omo behwe na ade a ye ya ma akuafo yi ade a ye edi ama Ghana fo no obi emfa bonwoma bi emetare ho emeka se ye asempoforo nti mpanimfo every Ministry of Agric mpanimfo every World Bank Agric ni Finance Committee of Parliament aton sa from civil society organizations media houses baaku mienu bi ya from so oni metena omo say omadaje busumi mienu no oni metena Ministry of Agric na ye ni omo nka mom ni make sure say ade na ye dia boa Ghana akuafo no enam ni kwan mu sania e wo say enam mu eno achi no ya sign the ministers BSC ho Agric Ministry, Finance, Defense, Local Government, a dean of regional ministers. Yenso ye ba betena so ho ne ahwe se one ihwe se adwuma na ekoso no obia ye na adwuma enkofa asembia emma na nyina no ekakokusi se ye pese ye kire Ghana for se imwa na ye de bre Ghana for no ye be ye ni yie ama ho ate se krojen na me di ebe wie no the see nansen no akire yen say planting for food and jobs phase 2 na ye sha ase ye boa small scale farming last year we hear fertilizer ni niema ye che ya ye di ma akuafo under the input credit system e bin see wo Ghana ha da na me ji say dodo na anti ho asem for the first time e ba Ghana ha menye sure say what say friend say afi obi ti say fertilizer smuggling akoso ana meboa obi anti fertilizer smuggling asem esane nhihye pa ye de to honti no saa niema na kan ya Greek ho no ni nyina no yetimi ayi afri ho ne kwakrakra no ebia na ye start implementation of the mitigation measures no ebia na mentimi ne mu amekasa ebio jese bibi foforo bi esi wo mu dia na ye hwe but yanke akan asemi na nke akan wi ye betu ye ho agum ameki sure say akuafo no emsa beka won input na Ghana for so enyo maduane ama obi aho ato no medical ya da mampani ni na bede chi ase papa say woni gina ho hwe ye ma de ye hwehwe no ye nsa ekan ye cabinet, parliament, minister for finance, utunkofosi ho ministry of finance, mobilize resources no edimine. Now World Bank for so ye domasi, omo country director nankasa tuni husi ho mobilize donor community ni na edimine. Ana obia kakakakaka wono so no ode ebe boa yen. Robert Talieko O'Brien, danasi Ghana, danasi papa. Na ninkrofo bi oni omudi yes adwuma ma momudi a na yaye boniaye Abel Lufafa, Shakib, Michelle, Keen, Ashwini, Reka, Sebastian, ECOWAS for Medalmasi. 2 years no omudi kan bre brone emo 500 metric tons. And nura wana mama so ati say one san bre 8,000 metric tons. ECOWAS ayadie ye da omasi. Ena miankasa so mejuma efo ewo Ministry of Agric. Oma mama ye superstar wa Agric mu medamasi papa. Na Ministry of Information so de bia woni boa yen ye ba ha woni GMFF also. Na de kokoba ye no se media fo no ye koba ye no se media fo no se mo chia asem no pe anka asem esi wo Ghana. If you say na ye can dry spell no na nkrofo feel say wo say woni tuko amansan dwa so no woni ko to niema e wo ho nyina na wo hwese ne media muma monsem ka no ekoye na mo create panic bi wo system no mu ama ye nya rush on the marketer na e wo say me bomba baso na me damase Ghana edamase if you say mo chia no ekoba bia nka ene no anhwe ana enye asempapa ewo ye aduane edwa so me de me nsem no eba wiye no na medamasi na afedie mako kankran minister na ke ma wie gafi o medamasi nyankopo nhira mu ni na.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. I'm sure that today you will not get any questions because you brought only good news. Whoever was in despair, who was worried about the implications of the dry spell, I believe by now is relieved. Because for you to be able to mobilize 118,000, not 118, 118,000 tons of fertilizer and 5,133 tons of seeds for 800,000 smallholder farmers across the country. That is huge. Minister, thank you so much for being so responsive and very, very efficient as well. The Honorable Minister announced that for every smallholder farmer in Ghana who is registered on the GAP, to that end, 800,000 of them will receive 2 bags of NPK fertilizer each and 1 bag of urea fertilizer each. For those in the 8 affected regions up north and in the transitional belts, the Honorable Minister said there will be distribution of food grants to 800,000 farmers affected in those 8 regions, 25 kg bag of rice each, and 100 kg bag of maize each per farmer. Minister, you have no idea what this means to the farmers in Garu or in Pusiga or anywhere in Sandema or Nyampala or Jirapa. When you sit in Accra and you talk about a bag of maize and a bag of rice per household, some people are tempted to think that it's nothing. But there are families who need just that for the whole year. If they can get a bag of maize to send to the mills and dry and store it so that they can put food on the table. Thank you so much for not abandoning farmers in these difficult times, Honorable Minister. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we continue with the good news, but I believe the Honorable Minister will get to speak more when you ask questions. So if you have any questions, this is the best time to ask. You mention your name and affiliation and then proceed to ask your question. David has a microphone at the back. If you raise your hand, he will bring the microphone to you so that you can ask your question. Thank you. Yes, please. John.
Thank you. Yes, my name is... Okay. Yes, so my name is John Awuni. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I represent Kesben Television. I just wanted to know whether the date was carefully selected because most of the key distribution is going to commence on the 10th of October, which worldwide it is International Day of Mental Health. And we all know how hunger contributes to this particular sector. So the day is very historic, but that is not actually the question. The question is, I know these are just short-term solutions. I don't know what the ministry is doing going forward to curtail these drought situations. What long-term measures does the ministry have going forward into the future? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, John. Okay, I can see a hand from...
Yeah, good afternoon, Honorable Minister.
Good afternoon.
And my MP. Honorable Minister, you have mentioned, in your previous encounter, you did mention you needed about $500 million or 8 billion Ghana cedis. How much have you gathered so far from government sector and from donor countries? How much has come into the kitty? And then I've been attending briefings at the Statistical Service. Most invariably, food prices going up, especially after COVID. What is accounting for this? Because food situation in this country, if you go to the market, some of us who go to the market with our wives, it is not easy at all. What is accounting for this? After all the planting for food and jobs, food prices is still going up. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I can see another hand.
My name is Daniel Odromens. I work with City FM and Channel 1 TV. Please, I want to find out, based on the interventions that have been outlined, is government likely to lift the ban on exports of maize in November? And also, regarding the cash-in transfers, I wanted to find out when exactly and how the process will be like. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. If there are any hands up, we can take 2 more questions before we invite the Honorable Minister for this round. Yes, Clifford.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. You realize that with our seasonal commodities, the perishables, I think for some time now we've seen a dip in prices because of the glut. What measures are we putting in place to ensure that those season, the prices do not escalate when we get into the lean season? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. Is there any hand? Okay, if there are no more questions, I will invite the Honorable Minister for his responses. But before I do so, permit me to once again acknowledge our media partners. We are watching, if you are watching this press conference, I believe you joined us live from one of these stations. We are live on GTV, Joy News, Channel 1 TV, UTV, Untumi TV, Peace FM, Movement TV, Net2 TV, ABC News GH, Asasi Radio, Oman FM. In the northern part of the country, we are on Sagani TV and NTV. If you are joining us on social media, I believe you joined us on Facebook at Ministry of Information or Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Also streaming on Think News Media and Kofigo TV. Thank you. Honorable Minister, if you are ready.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I think this whole year, these are the most difficult questions that have been asked. From John Awuni, the date, anything to do with mental health? No. It's just a Thursday, 10th October, and that is when we seek to commence. So there's a lot of planning. We announced this thing around the 27th of last month. And within 30 days, this is what we have been able to mobilize. And it's not something that we just flicked a finger. Within 30 days, we've been able to mobilize about 3 billion Ghana cedis, imported 34,000 metric tons of maize, sourced and secured 34,000 metric tons of rice, sourced and secured 100,000 metric tons of maize, collated data on about 800,000 farmers, validated over 500,000 so far, procured and ensured that we have close to 200,000 metric tons of inputs on ground. We've combed the whole of Africa to ensure that we have rice seeds, because those of you in the sector, you know that getting seeds at this time of the year is very difficult. We've combed the whole of Africa to secure about 5,000 metric tons of maize and rice seeds. My people have worked day and night to ensure that we are where we are. And that is why we are choosing the 10th, at least buying some time to make sure that all the edges are cleaned up. We need to set up an USSD account to ensure that the online market is also able to come on stream. Finalize the cash transfer modalities with Ministry of Gender and the World Bank on the LEAP platform. So all these things are ones that, in fact, today, this morning, we started the distribution of fertilizers, but we believe that by the 10th, which is a Thursday of next week, every one of the activities that we have lined up, we will start the implementation. Now, to curb the dry spell, we cannot affect the weather, but we can plan our food systems to ensure that if there's El Nino or there's a drought or there's a dry spell, as we experience this year, we'll be able to survive it. It's why we're pushing for more irrigation schemes. If you listen to my presentation, I did say that we should, as a country, commit about 3 billion Ghana cedis in irrigation schemes, at least start them. Since I've been at the ministry, I've started major irrigation programs, especially in our grain belts, Ejura. We've started an irrigation schemes. Kumewu, we've started an irrigation scheme there. Central Afram Plains through to Kwewu Afram Plains. We've started major irrigation schemes there. Ehinase, Kwewu, we've started an irrigation schemes there. All these are lowlands by the Afram River that we believe that we can tap into the very clean Afram River, take the water to the lowlands and create major schemes for our grain growing areas. We have at least started these major irrigation interventions. And we believe that every year, if we can commit about 3 billion cedis minimum, this is not factoring the major outliers, for example, like Pualugu, where you need hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm talking about at least the kind of irrigation schemes that we know here in Ghana, like the Via, Tamni, Tono, Botanga, those kinds of schemes. If we're able to commit about 3 billion year by year, we will be able to crop and avoid the effects of dry spell, El Nino, or drought. 8 billion. What have you received so far? 3 billion, of which we received 2 billion from GOG directly. A majority came from the Ministry of Agri's own budget. So our budget for the year, a lot of our programs that we plan to run for this year, we had to cut it and then put the funds into supporting the farmers. So we are out dry and gasping for air. But farmers at this point, it's the same farmers that we seek to support. And so a majority of the funds came from my budget. 1 billion cedis of the Ministry of Agri's budget is gone. We went to Parliament and got 500 million Ghana cedis from the contingency fund. And then the Ministry of Roads also suffered 500 million Ghana cedis. So we got 2 billion from GOG, and then we got $100 million from the World Bank, of which 85 million went to inputs, and then 20 million into cash transfer. So 105 million from the World Bank. So put together, it's about 3.6 billion Ghana cedis, depending on the exchange rate, and that is being used. So at 16, let's say we've received 3.6 billion of the 8 billion that we required. Now, the 8 billion that we required was based on getting food ration for 4 months. We projected to give food ration for 4 months. With what we have started with, it will be able to support for 2 months. Okay, we will be able to support for 2 months. But if you put together the total quantum of support that a farmer is getting, you're getting 1,000 Ghana cedis cash transfer. A bag of fertilizer is about 400 Ghana cedis. You are getting 3 bags of that. That is 1,200. That's what we are talking about 2,200 Ghana cedis here. You're getting a 25 kg bag of rice. That in itself is about 400 Ghana cedis, so it comes to 2,600. 100 kg bag of rice, I did mention. Farmgate in itself is about 600 Ghana cedis. So we are talking about north of 3,000 Ghana cedis per farmer, 30 million. And not to talk about the seeds that the farmer is going to get. So every farmer is getting about 30 million old Ghana cedis, or 3,000 new cedis. Commercial farmers are getting more, getting about 50 bags of NPK, 25 bags of urea. Now, Statistical Service says that prices of food is going up. In Ghana. Hey, it appears you have your own food inflation. Because the ones that we have, food inflation is going down. Food inflation is going down. If you can just look it up, the food inflation for last month.
Last month was 19.1.
Yeah. 21.5, which is in July. August is 19. So food inflation is going up. But even beyond the inflation, when you go to the market, I don't have to tell you the price of food is going down. Do you understand? You say you go to the market with your wife. Because if you send somebody else, then I can understand that there may be some transmittal additions here and there. But if you go yourself, you will see that the price of food, and this is not something that it's not just a factor of seasonality. Some planning has gone into it. It is not. So you realize that in Ghana, when we have tomato on the market, onion is not there. When the price of onion is down, the price of tomatoes is up. Is that not the case? This time, you see that there's tomato and there's onion. But I'm saying, listen to me. The seasonality, when there's onion, there's no tomato. When there's tomato, there's no onion. But this time, there's onion and there's tomatoes. And they are both cheap. At least, let me not use the word. They are both reasonable. So what I'm saying is that some planning has gone into it. Did you understand? The reason why the effect of the dry spell is minimal is because from April last year, we were able to invest heavily in inputs to our farmers in both the northern sector and the southern sector. So the southern sector produced a lot. That is why you are seeing what you are seeing on the market. And if we continue on this trajectory, we will be able to keep the prices of food at reasonable levels. Farmers will be happy with the prices that they are getting, and consumers will be happy with the prices they are paying. And that is very, very important. And it's a factor of planning. It didn't just happen. And I mentioned that this is the first time after distributing over 100,000 metric tons of fertilizer last year, not a single bag, and I can attest, was smuggled out of this country in the way that inputs went to farmers this year. Not a single bag was smuggled out of this country. It is a factor of the system that we have changed. It is a factor of planning, and that is why you are seeing what you are seeing on the market. When are we going to lift the ban on export of grains? We are still monitoring the situation. We have brought in quite significant quantities of cereal, maize, grains into the country. We are also supporting the production of such. We have to be sure that we have gotten to a point where you and I are okay with the food systems before we open the floodgates for these things, for our grains to go out. I've heard and I've received petitions from mostly aggregators that we should allow them to export our cereals out. And I'm happy to support their business, but this is it. You are, in a way, subsidizing inputs for farmers. You and I, we are subsidizing inputs for farmers. Okay? And then when we harvest the grains, somebody will aggregate the grains and export it out for their profit. And they don't give me money to give back to the farmers to grow more grains. Government must now find another money to give to the farmers, subsidize their inputs, and then somebody will take the harvest and export. And then we watch slowly as the prices of our food, our grains go up. So it's a decision that we have to make. But for now, I need to make sure that we have enough food in the system. We have enough buffers in our warehouses to cruise the country's food system. Then we can open the gates to sell our buffers. And I'm very, very happy that we're able to sell our buffers to allow for some exchange into the country. And not when I need grains to support the system. Then I say that let's open the floodgates for our investments to be shifted. I don't think that is fair to even those who are asking that we open the floodgates for them to aggregate our food and take it. So what we import, or we support farmers to produce, and then somebody should aggregate and export. But I don't think that is fair to all of us. That's the situation. So we continue to monitor, and when the situation improves and we are sure that we're able to feed ourselves, we will support aggregators to export in an organized manner. cash transfer modalities. We are working with LEAP. LEAP already has a system of sending money to the very poor. We don't have to reinvent the wheels. Some of the LEAP beneficiaries are also farmers. And therefore, we are going to ride on that system to make sure that the most vulnerable get the money that we have. So yes, that we're going to use those systems. So LEAP has a system. They just have to knock it against our system to make sure that the vulnerable farmer is beneficiary is also a farmer with their farm mapped. Then they can have access to the money. That is just how it's going to be. Anytime, any day, any media house can come to the Ministry of Agriculture, can go to any regional office, can go to any district office across the country, and you should be able to have access to beneficiary lists. Okay? You can walk to any district directorate of agriculture across the country. Is how transparent the system is going to be. And that is exactly what we did last year. If you go to any district and request for people, beneficiaries of inputs in that district, we have asked them to produce that list. Doing with this. So the final one was the seasonality and the thing. I think I've answered that in extenso. We should be well. We should be fine through to next year, June, and I'm sure that we will update the country on our food systems as we go. But so far, so very good. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there are any follow-up questions, we will take a final round. But if you have no questions, I will invite the Honorable Minister back for his concluding remarks. Any questions? Honorable Minister, I believe that's all for today. So if you have any final words, please.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, Directors of Information Ministry, and AGRIC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to, through you, thank the nation for the support thus far on this. Like I said, I had challenges on how the country was going to react to the dry spell, how the media was going to report the situation, but it's been very well, fairly covered. A lot of analysis have been done by various organizations across agri sector organizations, development partners. A lot of reports have been written confirming what we first announced. But the country has been able to handle the situation so well. Farming activity is starting earnestly in the transition zone and in the north, because the rains have started. In the south, we've all experienced some rains in the last week. It should continue. We've had a shift of the planting season in the southern sector for about a month. So we expect the rains to have started to go through all the way into early October, which will support the full cycle of plant life. We're happy with the Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2. We're happy with the food systems trajectory. If we continue on this path and scale it up, we should be, as we mentioned at the launch of the Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2, be food secured and resilient in 5 years. By 2028, Ghana will no longer suffer a seasonal prices on a lot of the products. We should be able to have a firm grip on our food systems. I thank you, Ghanaians, for seeing us through this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister and your team. Our government spokesperson on governance and security is here. He's been nodding throughout, so I believe he is an ambassador already. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, and to our audience at home who watched us on GTV, Joy News, Channel 1 TV, UTV, Wontumi TV, Peace FM, Movement TV, Netu TV, ABC News GH, Asasi Radio, Oman FM, Sagani TV, and NTV. I would like to use this opportunity to thank you for the coverage. Those who could not join us live, I am informed that Joy News would like to replay this press briefing at 5 p.m. this evening, so you get the opportunity to also follow the conversation. Our press call, as always, I would like to say thank you for always joining us for these interactive sessions. Enjoy the rest of the day. Good afternoon.